Happy Tuesday, Dolphins fans. Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. Hopefully everyone had a good Father's Day weekend and are ready to hang out and talk some Dolphins football over the next 90 minutes or so. I know I'm excited to come hang out with all of you on our scheduled live show on Tuesday. And as we like to start off every show, shout out your city for me. Let me know where the real ones are watching from. Get in the comment section and let me know where we're watching from. We got my guy Chad Jones in the building, Robert Randolph, Tactical Zombie, Champion, Daniel Berry, Sports Highlights. What's up, Daniel? Ty Man, Justin Bryan. As always, we got the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Lotteray with us, hanging out on Tuesday. Jack, how was your weekend?
Fantastic. It was very chill. Hung out with my mom, hung out with my girlfriend, did all the stuff that you do on a weekend. Ran errands, did all that stuff. Did you have a good weekend?
You know, I actually did. I was in Nashville, Tennessee. Shout out to Chad Jones, Tennessee whiskey, baby. Yeah, I was in Nashville for the first time my entire life. I thought it was awesome. I didn't know what to expect because, full transparency, I'm not the biggest country music fan, so obviously I had my skepticism going down there to visit my friend because it was like, well, if they only play country music out at bars and stuff like that, it might not be the best scene for me. But this bar we went to, we went to Luke Bryan's on Saturday night. That was an absolute blast. It was fantastic. And then we went to Kid Rock's after that to close out the night. And the band that was playing Saturday night was a rock band. And I tell you what, they were so kick-ass. And I can get behind rock. Not a country guy, but I could get behind rock music quite a bit. And they were playing some heaters. I had quite the time in Nashville, Tennessee. I had a really good time. Champions watching from Jacksonville. Chad Jones in Virginia. My guy Bill Lyons in Syracuse. Robert says, how you doing, Nick? Mount Holly, read that wrong, excuse me, North Carolina. I hope I'm doing good, Robert. Thanks for asking. Chad Jones saying Jack Lotteray. Gavin's in Palm City, Florida. Ty Man, Ohio. Dave in South Africa. And BB in Lincoln. I'm assuming that is Nebraska. Well, we did get some news today on Miami Dolphins training camp and when it's going to get underway. I'm going to save that for the segment. Well, we could actually tell you now. July 16th is when the rookies are reporting. July 23rd is when the veterans. We'll talk more about that in our first segment here. But if you're excited for Dolphins training camp like I am, type me. Want to get the comment section rolling. Also, we're less than a month away from the rookies reporting the training camp in South Florida, so we can start to really get things underway. I'm fired up for football season to almost be here. I mean, listen, Jack, what do we got? We got under 4 weeks until training camp, at least the rookies, which means we're about 6 or 7 weeks away from the first preseason game, which is Friday, August 9th. Against the Atlanta Falcons. That's actually my birthday, by the way. So we're going to have a watch party on my birthday that I'm pretty pumped up for. But
it's come a lot quicker this year than
I actually agree.
Than in the past. I don't know if they moved up times for like rookies. I'd have to cross-check that with the last few years, but it feels like there's much less downtime. And maybe that's just because we're doing a whole bunch of other stuff here at Chat Sports with the NBA and stuff like that. But we're less than a month away from rookies reporting to training camp for the Dolphins.
It is a little bit on the early side for Miami. Like, there's some teams where the rookies don't report until the 21st of July. So that's a full 5 days where Miami is getting a little bit ahead of the curve. I don't know if they earned the right to be able to do that. I don't know if they're just choosing to do that. I don't know what the exact situation is in that department, but I do know I am very excited that we only have a month away until we can talk about actual football on a daily basis. Because when training camp's here, we're going to be breaking down practices and how people are looking on a daily basis in the Miami Dolphins training camp. So we're not talking about should the Dolphins sign these guys and speculating like that. No, we're talking real football, and that's what's got me so excited. Just Bryan is excited. Bill Lyon is excited. Chad Jones is. Raul is. Gavin's asking how do we sign both Marcus May and Calais Campbell. Yeah, I mean, that was pretty crazy, right? We talked about Calais Campbell last Tuesday on our live show, and then just 2 days after that on Thursday evening, they signed the big man in free agency, which is just absolutely amazing. Could not be more excited about Calais Campbell. But they're not expensive. Like, the Dolphins had $18 million in cap space, and then it's probably down to about 5 or 6. We haven't got the official Campbell numbers just yet. We do know that Calais Campbell signed today. He made it official this morning, penned the paper, and the Dolphins released Matthew Sexton, the wide receiver, as the corresponding move. But, yeah, pretty nice to see him put that pen to paper and make it official. As we progress in our live show, we do have a Super Chat menu if you're so inclined to donate to the channel, which I just appreciate all the real ones being here hanging out with us on a Tuesday afternoon. But if you want to donate and help grow the channel and show your appreciation, put almost a tip in the tip jar, if you will, we will do these in return. Any Super Chat gets featured on the show, which we will be doing a mailbag later on, so a Super Chat guarantees that you get on that episode of Dolphins Today. We're going to keep the 5 push-up things going. Seems like you guys are having fun with me when we do those push-ups, so we'll keep it going. $10 for 5. $20 is a shot of tequila. Got that Patron with me. And then $50, you can get into the Miami Dolphins Hall of Fame / Aqua Club. Get your name on the Miami Dolphins helmet as we do progress throughout the rest of the off season. Here's an important question for the Dolphins. Liam Eichenberg, who started at center in the second half of the year due to Connor Williams getting banged up, he kind of came out recently, and we'll talk about this later in the show as well, that he wants to get a chance to start at right guard. So I'm going to ask you, would you give Liam Eichenberg a shot at right guard? Well, he's played all over the place. He played at left tackle as a rookie, played at left guard as a second-year guy, center a little bit last year. Would you give Liam Eichenberg a shot at right guard to be the starter? Obviously, that's a big question mark for Miami with no Robert Hunt anymore. They didn't sign anyone or draft anyone to really be that guy, so we'll see. Liam Eichenberg could be one of those people to be the starting right guard. Would you give him a shot? Type Y for yes or type N for no. It's also our live poll, so if you want to get a vote there, we got 66% of the people saying yes. 66% saying yes, he should get a shot. Just Brian says Liam says right guard is his natural position. He could be saying that, though, to try to sway the coaching staff, if you will, but he's yet to play right guard for the most part. He played a couple snaps there last year. Nothing crazy, though. Nothing crazy. Chad Jones says no. Kyron says no. Bill says no. He's already been at right guard and he stunk. Gavin says, so one thing is that I get that we needed another backup safety, but Marcus May is starting caliber. Why did we sign a better safety and that's more money? So why didn't we sign a real backup? Well, Gavin, fun fact about Marcus May is that his contract information actually did come in today. Let me pull that up for you so I can get this correct. But he signed for like basically the vet min. So it's not like they paid him more money than other free agents out there, Gavin. Like, for example, the 1-year deal with May, hold on one second here. It's $1.37 million, including $167K at signing bonus, $1.2 million salary, with half of it guaranteed, which means the salary cap is $1.152 million under the veteran salary benefit. So they actually got him relatively cheaper than anybody else. So is May a starting caliber guy? Maybe. Probably not at this age and this point in his career. I'd probably slot him in as a backup safety at where he is an age and 7-year career. But getting him for basically less than the vet min, yeah, that is going to play very nicely for Miami. So it's not expensive at all. Not expensive at all. Just Brian says Driscoll should be the starting right guard. It's possible. It's possible. He'll be battling for it. He'll be battling. Champion says yes. Every noodle says I say make right guard spot earned by the best player that gets the spot, which we will talk about a little bit in our first show as well. Which brings me to this. If you want the real show to start, you got to hit that thumbs up button. We have a fun show on tap for all of you today, and there's 65 people watching, yet only 12 likes. That is not what I want to see, folks. It's honestly gross. Jack Lotta Ray said my ear is disgusting. I agree. Let's get to 30 likes. We have to get to 30 likes before we can start today's show. Should be very easy, completely free content every single day, live on Tuesday. What else could you want? Hit that thumbs up icon. Come on, need your help. 10 away from getting the show underway. 10 underway. 10 likes away. Got to get to 30 likes. 8 away now, 8 away. And what do we have coming up on our live show? Well, the latest Dolphins news and rumors. We're going to talk Devon Achane, Liam Eichenberg, Dolphins training camp to start off the show. Then we'll get into some rookie impact rankings. I wanted to try a little segment here at Dolphins Today where I went through the 7 draft picks Miami made in the 2024 NFL Draft and ranked in order on who I think is going to have the biggest impact for the Dolphins in 2024. Not long-term, but this upcoming season. Then we're going to answer some of your questions, so hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat to get onto the show. And then lastly, we'll talk about Malik Washington as he could potentially be a impact player for Miami, but also ESPN graded out the Dolphins offseason, and I wanted to react to that as well. So that is what's coming up on today's show. We are 3 likes away from getting to 30 likes. Hit that thumbs up icon. Who is going to be the 3 people to get the job done and get our show underway? That's what I want to know. Help me out. Come on. Come on. 2 away.
Who's going to step up? Let's go. Who's going to step
says,
up?
Imagine not liking the video. Great question. I couldn't imagine it. I couldn't. There we go. Oh, we got the 30 likes, which means we can start today's show. So stay with us, folks, because we have quite a fun one on tap. These 4 segments coming at you. We'll get into the news and rumors right now. 3 topics to get to in today's Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am Nic Rohloff. 1, Miami Dolphins training camp news. We'll touch on that to start off today's show. Devon Achane, is he going to be playing wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins? Yes, you heard that correctly. He had an interesting quote that I wanted to touch on. And then Liam Eichenberg, who has been all over the place and on the Dolphins offensive line in his first 3 years. He wants his shot to be the starting right guard. We'll talk about what he had to say and if he deserves that shot at the end of today's video. Well, let's get right into the training camp dates because the rookies for the Miami Dolphins are reporting on July 16th, which is relatively early. Some teams don't have their rookies reporting till July 21st, so Dolphins getting a little bit of a head start with their first-year guys, and that means we're less than a month away from them reporting, and I could not be fired up for that more. You also saw on your screen that the veterans are reporting a week later as a standard procedure on July 23rd. So, like I mentioned, we are legitimately under a month away from Dolphins football. You'll see all the UDFAs and the 7 draft picks Miami made in late April. Head to South Florida, start preparing, getting ready for the first preseason game on Friday, August 9th against the Atlanta Falcons, and then hopefully they can get ready to go for the regular season when they get it started September 8th against the Jacksonville Jaguars, under a month away from Dolphins football. I'm fired up. And are you fired up? Come on, baby. Are you excited for Dolphins training camp to get underway in less than 1 month? Less than 4 weeks? I can't believe it. Type me if you're excited because I know I am. All right, let's get to Devon Achane now because is he going to play some wide receiver for the Miami Dolphins? Yeah, that is a real thing. And he had this quote about his potential offensive role in 2024 and something that really caught my eye. He said that just me lining up at different positions as far as like receiver, running routes and stuff, that's something that we're doing different this year. So that's something that I've been doing in the offseason. And the first thing that came to mind after hearing that Devon Achane has been running routes in the offseason, whether it be in OTAs, minicamp, or in his own free time, is that to me, I think he could legitimately have a Christian McCaffrey type ceiling in this offense. He's got the speed, he's got the elusiveness, he's got the quick twitchy ability to make people miss in the open field very easily. I mean, we saw how he was able to just break a free and have massive plays last year, damn near averaging 8 yards a carry for the Dolphins on the ground. Like, if he starts getting more involved in the passing game, he could become one of the biggest dual-threat running backs in the NFL, and in an offense that prides itself in stretch zone runs and quick plays out of the backfield and quick throws in the intermediate portion of the field, I can see Achane getting a lot of these dump downs. And remember, Mike McDaniel comes from that Kyle Shanahan type of offense where Christian McCaffrey currently plays in with San Francisco. So I believe he can really be that massive dual threat that the Dolphins are hoping he can be. And I have some projections for Achane in 2024. And if you know what his first year numbers are, sure, some of the raw numbers are down in terms of rushing yards. He had 800 rushing yards in 2023, but I also don't think it's sustainable that he's going to be able to run for 7.8 yards per carry like he did a year ago. So 140 carries, 714 yards, which comes to about a 5.1 yards per carry basis, 11 total touchdowns, but I do believe he will get a massive uptick in the receiving game. He only had 27 catches last year. I get that up to 39. He only had about 190 receiving yards last year. I think that almost doubles to 327. Like, I think he's going to be much more dynamic in the passing game, and you might ask why? Well, linebackers simply just cannot run with Achane. If they line him up in the slot, they line him up out of the backfield and run Texas routes or swing routes or curl routes or whatever you want to do, it just simply cannot be defended by slow-footed linebackers. And yes, linebackers are getting more athletic as the time goes on in the NFL, but Achane's a sub 4.3 guy here. Like, they just simply can't keep up with him. So I'm imagining a lot of slants, a lot of drag routes from the slot in some different type formations in this Mike McDaniel offense. But if they also run some wheel routes where they get him matched up one-on-one with a linebacker, good night. Him and Tua can connect in the passing game quite a bit. I think Achane's going to have a massive year as the Swiss Army knife, if you will, in this Mike McDaniel offense. Another stat that I wanted to show with the Dolphins fans that makes it so fascinating with Devon Achane is that as a rookie, he lined up in the slot or wide out on 100 out of 300 snaps in 2023. That is the second and was the second highest among RBs with 50 or more carries. So as a rookie, he was the second, at least highest, running back playing wide receiver alignment, if you will. So you don't think that's going to increase with another year in this offense and another year of working on his route running technique and getting his hands more steady? Like, he is going to be asked to do more and more in the receiving game. I think he's very capable of doing that. Him and Jaylen Wright, who they drafted in the 4th round, are both very good in the pass game. So you get those two mixed in with Raheem Mostert running in between the tackles, which he was so good at a year ago. This Dolphins running back room is going to be absolutely dominant. We are getting very close to Dolphins training camp, and you should be subscribed to the channel. You want daily content on the Miami Dolphins. Live shows on a weekly basis every Tuesday. Videos every single day. This is the channel for you. Hit that sub button and join us here at Dolphins Today because we got the best coverage on YouTube. All right, let's close out the show with Liam Eichenberg. Is he going to be the starting right guard for the Miami Dolphins? He believes he deserves a shot at those honors. He recently caught up with Omar Kelly of the Miami Herald and shared this on his potential future. He said, I know the offense. I know how to run the offense. I'm kind of going to be out there eventually, hopefully at guard. And my first reaction to this is, does he deserve to be the right guard? Probably not. Like, he doesn't deserve it. But I'm all for competition. Like, I think every single position should be up for grabs. And you might hear that and say, well, that's not true. Like, Tua's not going to be benched for Skylar Thompson or Mike White. Like, yeah, sure, but unless your name is like a Tyreek Hill or Tua, like, your position is not safe on this roster. So Robert Jones, who I have slated as the starting right guard right now, I don't think should feel comfortable about that. And Liam Eichenberg will have a chance during training camp to prove he is a potential candidate to be the starting right guard. We'll talk more about him and what he has done in his career in the past. That is Liam Eichenberg. But I want to make sure you get this Dolphins t-shirt combo because it is currently $25 off. Yes, you heard that correctly. Usually $60 for these two t-shirts. Right now, $35 at chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. Get yours today. Link is in the description and comments of today's video. One more time, chatsports.com/Dolphins combo. We have talked ad nauseum about this starting offensive line, and I think you're going to have the first or 4 out of the 5 completely set, right? Austin Jackson, Teron Armstead are guaranteed to be starting at the left tackle and right tackle position outside of injury. Aaron Brewer, who you signed to a 3-year deal to replace Connor Williams, will be your starting center. Isaiah Wynn will likely get the starting left guard spot. I don't really think that's a competition. But Robert Jones, who is he a clear-cut starter? No. Jack Driscoll. We mentioned Eichenberg. Lester Cotton. Those 3 guys will have a chance to unseat Robert Jones as the potential starting right guard. It's very obvious when you look at this room. There is no clear-cut starter. And we as Dolphins fans raised our concern, and we've talked about how it's not the best thing in the world that there is right guard spot is this weak, but I've also mentioned you can't have a perfect starting lineup. Like, there's always going to be one position that lacks behind. That's right guard. So the competition will be there, and I'm intrigued to see who's able to emerge out of it in training camp that gets underway in just about a month. Let me know, though, would you give Liam Eichenberg a shot at right guard? Type Y for yes, type N for no. He's been with the Dolphins for 3 seasons. Let me know if he should be the starting right guard. As we continue to go out throughout this discussion, I think it's important to look at what Eichenberg's done throughout his career, because he has not been the best for Miami. And just this pure PFF grades, which is not the end-all be-all, but I did want to bring him up, they're not pretty. His best year is actually as a rookie in 2021 when he played left tackle, at least in terms of grading system, posting up a 50.8 overall, 58 run block, and a 46.9 pass block. He also played the most that year, playing almost exclusively at left tackle. Then had to play left guard in 2022, and then play a different array of positions in 23, where he played a little bit of right guard, mostly center, though, in relief for Connor Williams after he got hurt. But the raw projections and numbers show this, and it's not taking a rocket scientist to admit this. Just use your eyes as well when you watch him on the football field every Sunday. Just has not been that good throughout his career, and sure, I think he deserves a shot to be the starting right guard, trying to prove himself one last time, but I don't think there's any notion out there from the front office, the coaching staff, or the fan base that Eichenberg should just be handed the right guard spot. I will say this about Eichenberg. I do like the versatility he provides, and I'm a versatility guy. Like, if you can be versatile for anything, really, football, life, like, I like it. And he's been able to play different positions throughout his career. Left tackle, he's played 945 snaps. Left guard, 702. Center, 592. Hasn't played as much on the right side, but he still has logged a decent amount of snaps over his career. Like, I do like the fact he can play everywhere, and maybe he does deserve a shot at right guard, which we'll probably see that during training camp. It'll be one of the most important storylines of the entire Dolphins preseason and training camp. Who is going to be the starting right guard? I expect Eichenberg to get some snaps there, but he's also the primary backup center, and it is important to have one of those. So Eichenberg's going to have a role on this team. Will it be starting right guard? That we don't know. But make sure you are subscribed to the channel, because we'll let you know when it is kind of announced at the end of August who made this roster, who didn't make this roster, and how this team will shape out heading into Week 1 against the Jacksonville Jaguars. We will keep you updated, as well as be live for all the preseason games. So hit that sub button. We'll see you with the video tomorrow. Go Fins. Oh, we got a pair of super chats during that segment. Let's freaking go. The first one coming in from the GOAT, Chad Jones. Who? Chad Jones. Who? Chad Jones. Who? Shout out to Chad saying like the video. He's a legend. You already know he liked the video. $20 is a shot of tequila. Shout out Chad, baby. Shout out Chad. And we also got Frank O'Connor with a $25 super chat. So 2 shots on a little Tuesday afternoon. That one was for Chad. This one from Frank, though. Okay. Deep breaths. Just a question for thought. We have a little too much. Okay, hold on. Yeah, all right. Yeah. All right, that's. I think we're the fish. Okay. Frank O'Connor's coming in. We got you, Frank. Just a question for thought. We have a little too much depth. Period. Trade package, Eazy-E, Eric Ezukama, and Jeff Wilson, I'm assuming. I don't know, to fish. Oh, to fish for a second. To get to fetch. Yeah, I see what he's saying now. Okay. We were able to get this, Frank O'Connor. We have a little too much depth, which I actually do agree with, especially at the running back position. Jeff Wilson's RB4. Like, if you could trade him, let's do it. So he's saying trade Jeff Wilson and Eric Ezukama as a package to get a second-round pick. Well, I am actually up for trading Jeff Wilson. We've made multiple shows about that because I think he's a cut candidate, especially with Jaylen Wright coming into the fold. You have Achane and Raheem Mostert. Like, if you don't get an injury in the training camp period, you're carrying too much running back. So why not try to trade Jeff Wilson instead of cutting him, and then you keep like Chris Brooks or Selvin Ahmed for special teams. I know why I blinked right there. But he won't get you that much. And even though Eric Ezukama is an intriguing young player for the Dolphins, I don't think there's a chance that. Like, you could package those two and maybe get a 6th-round pick. Like, that maybe a 5th. But also, you don't see, like, one pick for two guys often. I think you could trade Jeff Wilson for a 7th, Ezukama maybe for a 7th. You can do those separately or try to pack them together for a 6th, but a 2nd-round pick just won't happen for those two guys because those two don't really have that much upside long-term, and especially Jeff Wilson, who's getting up there in age as a running back who has been used quite a bit. There's no way. There's no way. But I appreciate the $25 Super Chat, Frank, and that will be on the mailbag. We'll have a much smoother answer to that question, that's for sure. That's for sure. Did I take a second shot? I don't know if I did. Did I take a second shot, guys? I don't think I did. I don't think I did. If I did, you're getting a free one, I guess. Shout out to the Dolphins fans. Shout out to Frank O'Connor. Appreciate you. All right. A little question from Ruxy here. It's an intriguing one. Would you rather buy a Jaylen Wright rookie auto card or a Malik Washington rookie auto card? So, Ruxy, I'm going to throw back this question back to you. Are you in it for financial purposes or are you in it for personal collection? Because I know there's people out there that legitimately make a career out of card collecting and like card selling almost like it's a stock. So, are you in it to make money or are you in it to just have as a personal collection, Ruxy? Which way are you leaning on that? And then I think I can give you a better answer. Let me know. You're in it for financial purposes. So I'm going to go with Malik Washington then. And you could maybe disagree with me here. And even though Jaylen Wright was the higher pick, and I think will have the higher impact maybe sooner, but if I'm not mistaken, Jack, wide receiver cards are much more expensive than running back cards.
Yes.
So if you're looking long-term, like what player, if they have the best career, could net you the most money financially, I think Malik Washington is your guy.
So I look at it from two facets. I look at it from the short term and the long term. So if you're making the argument that Jaylen Wright's going to have much more of an impact early on, then you could argue that his card market will spike earlier.
Yeah, I get that.
But if Frank
O'Connor, baby! Oh, we got a real one coming up into the building. Frank O'Connor with a $50 super chat. Bang! Frank O'Connor, baby! Let's go! Let's go! Now, Jack, you're going to have to help me out here. Is Frank O'Connor like a mainstay at the channel? Or is this like a relatively new person coming around here? Because, Frank, I assume you know this. Maybe not if you just stumbled across our channel for the first time recently, but I took over the channel for the first time as a host at the end of April, right around the NFL draft, and I am still trying to learn who all the legends are in terms of super chats from the past seasons before us. I know Chad Jones is a real one. I know some of the others, but Frank, I am a little bit unfamiliar with your game. Frank was not a member of the Aqua Club during the season, but he is going to be a member of the Dolphins. Look at this. I forgot. the orange. Look at this. It's going right through it. That's unbelievable. Is going to be a member of the Dolphins Hall of Fame / Dolphins Aqua Club of the offseason. Frank OC, baby. Shout out to Frank. First time on the Dolphins Aqua Club.
I see you, Kristen. Aqua Club member, Kristen Reinhardt, absolute legend.
That's electric. Well, here is your sticker. Frank OC, baby. Let's go. Let's go. We are the Dolphins, Miami Dolphins. Frank O'Connor, you're an absolute legend.
You want to talk about the epitome of YouTube? That's it right there.
Well, Frank, I'm glad you stumbled across us, and I'm glad that you enjoy the show and enjoy the content we put out here, Frank. $50 super chat. We're going to take down a beer as well. I didn't bring a beer in here. Shambles by me. Let's do it now. Let's pay it off for Frankie. Sorry, I have a knack, by the way. I brought a Murbanga. I forgot the beer. Just grab a Happy Dad. Yeah. I have a habit, I'm sorry, Frank, if you don't want to be called Frankie, of I just give people nicknames. It's been a thing my entire life. When I went to college, me and my friends did this all the time. Like, we would just start randomly giving nicknames. Like, as you guys see, when I put my L3 at the bottom, my name's Nic Rohloff. My nickname's Rolly. So, like, nicknames just fly over here. So I'm just casually always saying people's names differently. I'm sorry if you don't want to be called Frankie, but appreciate you, Frank O'Connor. I think I got to read the question, though. If we could make a trade for a right guard with any team, who would you shoot for? Good question. Thank you, Jack. Let me think here. I want to give you a legit answer, so give me a second to try to think of all the guards in the NFL. This will be a good question on our mailbag as well. I want to give you an answer that is, like, also realistic, right? Like, I'm not going to say, like, Chris Lindstrom of the Falcons, who's unbelievably good. Like, they would never trade him, right? They would never trade him. I'm trying to think of a... Let's think. Ali Marpet from Ruxy. I don't think he would be traded. I'm looking here at the highest paid right guards to try to get a better understanding of who. I don't know if I'd be sold on this, to be honest, but, like, if I'm thinking realistic, that would be an upgrade. And maybe Nate Davis of the Bears? Like, he had a really bad 2023 season. Like, really bad. In out of the lineup, just wasn't that productive either. But he was really good on the Titans prior to signing a 3-year deal with Chicago. So could they potentially trade off of Nate Davis? And I think that's a possibility. He's a free agent, 26, got 2 years left, 30 mil, I believe, 15 a season. Nate Davis isn't I think Nate Davis would be better than any right guard you have on your team. I don't think he's going to cost you a lot. It costs you like a 5th round pick maybe. But I also don't know if they could handle his salary. So Tevin Jenkins is a great player, Roxy. They just wouldn't trade him. They wouldn't trade him. Oh, Frank O'Connor, $5. I go by Shaggy. All right, Frank, I'm going to try to remember that.
Going back to Ruxy's question.
To Roxy.
I'll say Malik Washington. And the reason why, this is all projection. So we have no idea.
Did you give me grape? God damn it, Jack. You know, it's
always, I didn't know.
I know. It's always funny when I tell people, can you grab me a Happy Dad? If for some reason it's always grape, and I despise it.
That's like all that's out there.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I would go with Malik Washington because all we're doing right now is projecting. Like, neither of these players, like, they're both good, but we don't know what they're going to be in years to come. So I'll bank more on the wide receiver, him being a wide receiver, because the wide receiver market is just always higher if you hit. So I'll go with Malik Washington.
Yeah, that's where I was. Cap for Life says, I can tell you guys are not from Miami. I mean, we're not pretending to be from Miami. Jack is from Arizona, right? Yeah. I'm from Rochester, New York, and we just live and we live in Dallas, Texas, working for Chat Sports. We just cover the Dolphins on YouTube every day. So we're not trying to pretend like we're from Miami. We get excited about Miami, but not acting like we're from there. So about that. And if you want to get your question on the mailbag coming up in just a couple segments, we have to break down the top rookies on the Dolphins and who can make the biggest impact this year. But if you want to get on the mailbag, hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. Frank O'Connor's the MVP of today's show. He's an absolute legend right now. Which is why I'm about to do this beer bong. So shout out to Frank O'Connor. Appreciate you hopping on the channel, my friend.
While Nick's doing that, I'm going to respond to Cap for Life. Says you need Miami guys to cover a Miami team. I don't think that's necessarily true because you're not going to get any better, more entertaining and informative coverage on the Miami Dolphins than here at Dolphins Today. You're going to get the best, most interactive, most entertaining, most informed Dolphins coverage here on Dolphins Today. So just because we're not in Miami doesn't mean we can't be damn good at covering the team and taking down a beer bong of a happy dad.
That's true.
That's my take on it. I don't know.
All right.
And Cap for Life, if you keep yelling and coming at me, you're going to get blocked.
No. No blocking. We don't block here. We don't block unless you say something egregious. If you just want to flame me, go ahead. Like, not going to change my life. Not going to change my life. Yes, I agree. I'm going to agree with you. I don't think the Dolphins should trade for Cole Strange. One, Cole Strange stinks. He has not been good for the for the Patriots. Two, he is the most injury-prone offensive guard maybe in the NFL. So I'd stay away from Cole Strange. I think the Patriots would actually be open to trading him, but I wouldn't touch that if I'm Miami. I wouldn't do it. Oh, Frank O'Connor with a $20 super chat. That's a shot. Jesus, this is good. This might get ugly on a Tuesday. I'm actually going to the Mets-Rangers game tonight, and I was supposed to drive with our good pal Jeffrey Cooperstein. Looks like he might be driving. Frank. Do you think Chop is going to explode onto the field once he gets his hands better? Frank, that's a perfect segue. Perfect segue because you know what? I'm not going to answer this right now. I am going to answer this in our next segment coming up here because I am ranking the rookies with the biggest impact or potential to impact this 2024 team. And the person you just asked, quick teaser, is going to be number one on our list. So we're going to talk about him in just a second here. And I think that is a perfect segue to get into it. Let's do it. Let's get into ranking the rookies most likely to impact the Dolphins in 2024. Welcome to Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Nic Rohloff. Fun show here today as we're going to look at what rookies could have the biggest impact for the Dolphins during the 2024 season. And this is, I want to put a disclaimer, specific to 2024 because there are some players on this list that could have a bigger impact 2 or 3 years down the line. But we're looking about who can help this team this season win the most. I also think it's a good time to refresh you guys and on who the Dolphins drafted and where they drafted them. The first pick of the Dolphins draft was at 21 where they took Chop Robinson, the edge from Penn State. Then they followed up with Patrick Paul in the second round. Then they traded a future third-round pick in 25 to get a fourth-rounder in 24 so they could take Jaylen Wright, the running back. Then they went Mohamed Kamara in round 5, Malik Washington in round 6, Patrick McMorris in round 6, and then the last pick they made during the 24 NFL draft, Taj Washington, the wide receiver out of USC. And before I give my official rankings, I want to support the rookies of the Miami Dolphins. Hit that like button to show the Dolphins rookies some love. Let's get 500 likes on today's video. And the reason why I want to show love to the rookies is, well, they might be bored in between now and training camp. So they're probably going to be looking on YouTube about the Dolphins and themselves. And if they stumble across this video, I want them to know the Dolphins fans have their back and are supporting them. So hit that thumbs up button. All right, number one on my rookies ranking list is going to be Chop Robinson. They drafted in the first round, and I think you could say that most teams' first-round pick is the most likely to have the biggest impact on the 2024 team on their respective squads. But I do think there is a pathway for him to be a big-time rotation player on this Dolphins defense. And I do want to clear this up, by the way, because I'm not shying away from this, but if you scroll back on the channel from about 5-6 weeks ago, whenever the draft actually was in late April, I was not that high on the selection at the time. I think I graded out at a C+ when they made the pick at 21. There's a lot of different factors for that. I personally wanted the Dolphins to draft Graham Barton, the interior offensive lineman from Duke, to try to replace that hole at right guard the Dolphins still have. But regardless of that, and regardless of the past, I am still very excited for Chop Robinson, and I believe he will contribute to this Dolphins roster from day one. His speed, his quickness, his first step off the line of scrimmage is otherworldly, and there is going to be a legit way for him to have a massive role. Like, you look at this Dolphins edge group. You have two studs of Jalen Phillips and Bradley Chubb. You have a good veteran who has been one of the best edge rushers in the past 6 years in Shaq Barrett. And then the two rookies in Chop Robinson and Mohamed Kamara. And the reason why Chop could have such a large role on this team is because there are so much uncertainty in the health of Bradley Chubbs and Jalen Phillips. Both of them are recovering some massive injuries. Jalen Phillips is coming off a torn Achilles just around Thanksgiving on Black Friday against the New York Jets. Like, I do believe Phillips could be ready for week one, but I'm not sold on the two of them being 100% ready to go for week one against the Jaguars. So Chop Robinson is going to have to be called upon. He's got a lot of talent. We, on our live show, had a mention from Frank O'Connor, about his hand placement. He's already talked about how he feels like he's 100% improved his hand placement in this offseason thus far. Still 6-7 weeks to go until the regular season gets underway. And Chop Robinson, he's got a lot of work to do, but I think he will have the largest impact on the team in 24. Number 2 is going to be Jaylen Wright, to me, the running back that they drafted out of Tennessee. He was the 3rd overall selection the Dolphins made in late April. And I do expect big things from Jaylen Wright. Whenever you trade a future 3rd-round pick to get a current 4th-round pick, that just signifies the value that the Dolphins front office and Mike McDaniel had on Jaylen Wright. He currently slots in as the RB3 on this team, and that's not really like knocking him either, because just you have Raheem Mostert and Devon Achane, who are one of the best 1-2 punches in the entire NFL in terms of running backs. But you add Jaylen Wright into this room, who has had a lot of good history at Tennessee in pass protection, as well as out of the backfield in the passing game. Like, he is going to provide a lot for this Dolphins running back room, which will be a committee. Like, I'm not going to try to hide from this fact. It's not going to be a 49ers backfield where it's Christian McCaffrey for 85% of the time and you get the other guys coming in spots. No, this will be a true committee where I think Raheem Mostert gets maybe 50 or 45% of the work. Then you get 30% from, or 35% from Devon Achane and 20% from Jaylen Wright. Or the numbers can change, but the point remains still that these three aren't going to go out on their own and isolate on the running back room. They will work together, they will complement each other well, and I do expect Jaylen Wright to see significant snaps in this Miami Dolphins offense. Still got some other Dolphins rookies to talk about, but let me know which rookie you think will have the biggest impact in 2024. Talking specifically this season, not anything long-term. Let me know which rookie will have the biggest impact this upcoming season. Number 3, I am going to go with Malik Washington. Yeah, the 6th-round wide receiver out of Virginia. I just am so bullish on Malik Washington, man. I think this kid's going to be an absolute stud. Like, he just has too much talent. He did so much at Virginia, was one of the most productive wide receivers in all of college football. I mean, are you kidding me? A slot receiver from Virginia who also isn't the best passing game in college and didn't have the best quarterback, putting up 1,300 yards, 9 touchdowns, and over 111 receptions. Washington also was a second-team AP All-American, set a record for receptions in a season in the ACC. Like, he was dominant at the collegiate level. And yes, I think he's going to be wide receiver 4 for the Dolphins, but if an injury breaks out to one of Hill, OBJ, or Waddle, I have confidence in Malik Washington filling in as wide receiver 3. He is also specifically a slot guy, and at 5'9", I think he can really help the Dolphins in some formations where maybe they need to give a breather to someone else and they want to have Hill and Waddle on the outside, but Malik on the inside running slot routes against a linebacker, safety, or a nickel back. Like, I think Malik Washington is going to have a role on this team. I'm very excited for his potential year one production, and I think he's going to be great for Miami. All right, we are in a June sub battle, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We currently are in second out of this 3-team race here with Steelers Talk and the Chiefs Report. We're beating the Chiefs by about 40, which is nice, but still trail Steelers by damn near 50 subscribers. So hit that sub button. You'll get informative content surrounding the Fins every single day. I'm a competitive guy. If you like the Dolphins, you probably are too. Help us out and beat the Chiefs and Steelers. Number 4, it's actually going to be Mohamed Kamara, the edge rusher out of Colorado State, who the Dolphins selected in the 5th round. I absolutely love Mohamed Kamara. I thought he was going to go in the top 100. That was just a personal take. Others maybe thought differently, but I did think there was a chance he was going to be taken in the first 3 rounds in the top 100. I know the Dolphins fans were a little bit skeptical of the pick when it happened live because a lot of people wanted an offensive lineman, and they didn't understand taking another edge rusher when you already took Chop Robinson in the 1st round. But he provides depth, and we've already talked about how you are uncertain of where the depth and health of this edge room will be day one. So Kamara gives you depth. He also has a dog mentality. He is physical, high motor, not gifted that much in terms of size and athleticism, but just fights tooth and nail for everything he has, and he is going to have a fire burning inside of him to try to prove everybody wrong on why he was taken 184th. I think he's going to provide some nice things and spots for the Dolphins in 2024. Number 5 is going to be Patrick Paul. That's my guy. Yeah, I like Paul, who was the 2nd-round pick for the Dolphins, 55th overall. And this is not Patrick Paul slander to have him ranked 5th out of 7 in terms of the rookies drafted. I love Patrick Paul. I actually think I graded it the 2nd highest or 3rd highest pick out of Miami when the draft was around. But this is a long-term play for Paul and the Miami Dolphins. Like, there just isn't a pathway for him to play this season regardless of it, unless there's an injury. Like, obviously you're going to hope and pray that Teron Armstead plays 17 games. Now, is that going to be the case? Unlikely. You're also going to hope the same thing for Austin Jackson. Is that likely? That's also unlikely. It's hard to play 17 games as an offensive lineman. So Paul's playing time in 2024 is going to be very limited because he can't kick inside to play guard, and as long as you're keeping Austin Jackson at right tackle and not moving him inside, then there's just no way for Paul to play. And the reason why I have him ranked 5th is because it's a long-term answer. And if you want my honest belief on Paul, I actually think he has the highest ceiling out of any of the rookies Miami drafted. Like, if I had to rank and do a different video of who is going to have the best career for the Miami Dolphins from this draft class, I think I would have Patrick Paul number 1. I'm not shitting you because his long-term growth is so pivotal. He gets to learn behind Teron Armstead for a year, and then he could slot right in, assuming this is Armstead's last year with the Dolphins, to be the left tackle of the future. That sounds pretty good to me. Like, I also think this guy has all-pro potential. 6'7", good size. He just improves his technique, hand placement, footwork. He is going to be a dude in the NFL. And another reason why I like Paul, he went from the AAC in Houston to the Big 12 in his final year. His numbers actually jumped up. He plays well in higher competition. Are you with me? Do you believe in Patrick Paul long-term for the Miami Dolphins? I certainly do. I think he's going to be a stud. Type Y for yes or type N for no. All right, to close out this video, I mentioned the last 2 selections the Dolphins did have. Taj Washington, who they picked in the 7th round. I have him slated just a little bit ahead of Patrick McMorris, who they drafted in the 6th round out of Cal. The reason why these 2 are a little bit lower, and I'm not going to spend that much time talking about them, I actually probably would predict that these 2 start on the practice squad for the Dolphins unless they have unbelievable training camps. Just think of the Dolphins safety room. Like, I don't think they keep more than 4 guys. They have Poyer, they have Holland, they signed Marcus May, they have Elijah Campbell. Like, McMorris is probably going to start on the practice squad unless he has an unbelievably good training camp. Taj Washington, I like him. High upside guy out of USC in the 7th round. I just don't really see a way he impacts this 2024 roster unless there's a crap ton of injuries. which we hope that doesn't happen. Also, someone I expect to start in the practice squad when you have a top 4 of Malik Washington, Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, OBJ, and then Braxton Berrios at 5. That 6th spot will be battled out between River Craycraft and Eric Ezukama in Washington. So Washington might lose that and end up on the practice squad for Miami, which means he's probably not going to make an impact for this 2024 team. That will do it for today's video. If you think I'm wrong or just want to ask me more questions on the Miami Dolphins, you can hit me up over on Twitter. My DMs are open. Follow me at Nic_Rohloff, talking Fins on the daily basis. So go give me a follow. Oh, another $20 super chat from Frank O'Connor. Someone that is absolutely making a name for himself here as a rookie, we can say, at Dolphins Today. Sorry to interrupt. Do you think we could see a 3 RB lineup for triple option? All of the speed there is, it would hard to be cover all 3. I'm assuming you're talking like old school Ricky Williams, Ronnie Brown action where there's like no quarterback and you have like, let's say, Devon Achane taking the snap, Jaylen Wright to his left, Raheem Mostert to the right. I assume that's what you're trying to see. I do not see that as a possible outcome at all. Will there be a lineup in formation where all 3 of them are on the field at the same time? Sure, but I don't think it'll be a wild cap like triple option type of thing. I don't think that'd be the case. But I would also find it very unlikely. Like, I give it maybe a 5% chance we see this, but I think there's a 5% chance. You get Tua shotgun with 2 running backs to his side and then one of the other guys in the slot. It's possible. I'll tell you what, it would be fun to run like an option type play with Tua. Think about this, right? If you have, let me just make sure my numbers are right. Yeah, that works. You have 2 wide receivers, like you have Hill and Waddle on the outside, 5 linemen, and then you have Tua, 2 running backs, that's 10 people, and then you have one of the other running backs. So you have all 3 guys on the field. You can do like I forget what the formation's called, Jack. If you remember, you can help me out here. But they have the 2 running backs on the side, running back behind the quarterback, where you have 4 people in the backfield. Be fascinating to see that. Or if you could have the 2 running backs on the side, one of them in the slot, one of them comes in motion, where you have the option to either hand it off to the guy in motion or toss it to him. You could hand it off to one of the running backs come this way, and if not, you could hand it off to the other running back coming behind you. You could do crazy shit, dude. You could do crazy shit, man.
We have some news.
News!
All right. It's not anything major, but it is like news. Former Cowboys and Dolphins free agent center Connor Williams, who is coming off season-ending knee surgery, expects to be ready for the start of the season and is in discussions with multiple teams about where to play in 2024. He plans to pick his new team before training camp begins.
Interesting. Wow, that's a shocker. I mean, he got a pretty substantial knee injury midway through the season. Being ready for week 1, I didn't see that coming. I've talked about on the channel before that I thought he was going to be ready like week 8, week 9. Yes, Kristen. 1 second. I'm sending out a tweet. Well, I'll tell you what. If Connor Williams is actually ready for week 1, if it's not too expensive, bring him back. Like, you have Aaron Brewer, who you re-signed. I mean, didn't re-sign. You signed to be your starting center. But Connor Williams, before coming to the Cowboys, or coming to the Dolphins, played offensive guard for the Cowboys. If he was legitimately healthy, and you bring back Connor Williams to be your starting right guard, I'm telling you right now, Dolphins have the best roster in the NFL. I'm being that serious. Connor Williams is your starting right guard, best roster in the NFL. No problem in that. Do they have the best quarterback? No. But the quarterback is good enough with the rest of that roster to be classified as the best. Frank O'Connor, $20 super chat. You're the legend, my friend. You're the best. Appreciate you for joining the channel and appreciate you for having a good time and donating and helping us grow. Shit. All right, let me update you on the Venmo, Kristen, if you feel so inclined to donate to the channel, which would help us quite a bit. Guess I should have had this L3 already made, but I can do it. Should it be the same background as Twitter, or should I choose a different one, Jack? Do that. Can do that.
While Nick is getting that ready, make sure you use hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. We got a mailbag coming up. That's the next segment of the show. So, yeah, make sure you get your questions in and use hashtag Dolphins. If you don't use hashtag Dolphins, I will not be able to pull them on screen. So any question that you have, use hashtag Dolphins. Or you can Super Chat. Frank's going to have a lot of screen time on this mailbag.
Love it. That's why one plus side of donating the channel outside of helping us grow and being a real one. Okay, I'm gonna move this over. And just because it's not a super chat, by the way, I want to make one thing abundantly clear. Like, we get it on screen if you send a Venmo. Yeah. Save. All right, I think it should be moved. I also want to show love to Frank O'Connor a little bit more, and I am going to get another sticker for him. Is that what it is, Anthony? It's called 20. Is where you have the 2 wide receivers, 0 tight ends. Oh yeah, I guess that checks out. Big dummy. What happened? Okay. Franco C is getting another sticker on the Hall of Fame helmet. Shout out to Frank. Swaggy said his nickname's Shaggy. Did he say Swaggy or Shaggy? Shaggy. There it is. Yeah, Nic Rohloff is the handle. If you'd like to donate to the channel that way, that would be very appreciative. If you look me up, Nic Rohloff, and type it in that way, the icon will be me and my friend at a Mets game. Not hiding from this, I am a Mets fan, so if you're a Marlins fan, I'm sorry, but my dad was born in Queens, New York. I was raised in Rochester, New York, so I am a Mets fan. But that would be the profile picture, me and my buddy at Citi Field. Have you been there? I actually do think it's an underrated ballpark. Underrated ballpark. Franco C, another sticker, baby. Another sticker from Frank. Kristen's an A's fan. I am sorry. Just DFA'd J.D. Davis, former Met legend. Yes, I agree, says I don't like baseball. I'm glad you guys don't have an issue with it. Good question from Every Noodle. Yes, I agree. Good question. Only 3 questions? How many supers do we have?
Let's get some more questions,
yeah,
guys.
We're not going to be able to.
We're not going to be able to do this segment if we don't get some more questions. Ask anything.
Good questions from Yes, I Agree. Good question from Every Noodle. We got all Shaggy's, aka Frank O'Connor's, in there. But can we get some more questions? Hashtag Dolphins or Super Chat. It's weird to ask you guys to ask me a question. I get it. But if someone wanted to ask about re-signing Connor Williams, that would be a good question. I'm just going to say that would be a good question.
Yeah, so if someone wants to say hashtag Dolphins, should the Dolphins re-sign Connor Williams? That would not be the worst idea in the world.
Good question.
Pretty good idea. Hint, hint, wink, wink. That'd be a good idea.
I mean, I know we just talked about it, but be a good question. Okay. If not, we might talk about it anyway. Miami. Good question. You got to have
hashtag Dolphins, Miami. You got to put hashtag Dolphins. It's a great question.
Miami Bray, great question. Can you put a hashtag Dolphins on there? Yes, I agree. That's a great question. That's a great question.
Let's go. Let's go. Yes, I agree. That's going to be a headlining question right there.
For you to think of a question that good, you got to be a smart cookie. You got to be a smart cookie. Got to be a smart cookie. Oh. Yes, I agree. The way you worded that question too is so perfect. I just love it. I love it. I love it. Might be. Might be. All right, we're gonna try to get one. Let's get one more question. Let's get one more question. Miami Bree, still waiting on you if you can get that hashtag Dolphins in the re-one. Oh, North Carolina baseball lost. Frank. Imagine this Hill Waddle outside Achane and Wright in the backfield and Jonnu. Yeah, I mean, I expect that formation to be shown quite a bit, Frank. A.K.A. Shaggy. I mean, I believe this is going to be the most used formation, maybe. Not most used. Like, it won't be the most, but you will definitely see this. Hill and Waddle outside, Achane and Wright in the backfield. 2 RB lineup, 2 wide receivers outside. Jonnu probably either in the slot or on the line. I absolutely see that happening quite a bit. I mean, that's the thing about the Dolphins offense that is so dynamic, right? There's so much that you can throw at opponents, and they have no clue what to do. Like, how are you supposed to stop the speed threat of Hill and Waddle, but also have Achane running across the formation? Oh, yeah, they also have Raheem Mostert, who had 18 rushing touchdowns. Oh, yeah, Jonnu Smith, the best yards after catch tight end. Like, Tua, I've compared this to, I think made this comparison before. Like, I get the raw talent of Tua might not be there like other quarterbacks in the NFL. But you don't need him to. Like, with this offense and with the weapons they have, like, Tua just needs to be a point guard. Chris Paul action. Just dime it out, baby. You don't need to do too much. Just find your guy, be accurate, quick reads, make the play, let them do the work. And I think Tua's great at that. That's why I think there is a chance that he can be the guy super long term. I am ready. Let's do it. Hold on. Get 1 second. Browns just going nuts because Deshaun Watson just threw a touchdown in Madden. All right, let's do it. Make sure you are following our Miami Dolphins Instagram right now. The handle is @DolphinsTodayIG. And if you didn't get your question featured on this mailbag, well, when we reach 500 followers on our Instagram handle, we're going to be doing a Dolphins Q&A on our Instagram. So follow us over there. You get content in between each video on YouTube. You're only going to be more informed, so go follow us on Instagram. All right, I am Nic Rohloff. Welcome into Dolphins Today by Chat Sports, where we are doing a rumors mailbag. Like I said, if you missed it, follow us on IG, but we are live every Tuesday answering your questions. We had some great questions this week, starting with our guy, Frank O'Connor, the legend himself, who sent a $50 super chat saying, if we could make a trade for a right guard with any team, who would you shoot for? There's a lot of speculation on who we talked to. Some of the people in the live chat during the week said Cole Strange from New England. Probably pass on that because of how injury prone he is. But the guy that I could have in mind is actually Nate Davis, the right guard for the Chicago Bears. He signed a 3-year deal with Chicago last season in free agency. Was a bit of a disappointment for the Bears in year one. Was on and off the field. Could never really stay there. Left due to a personal reason at times as well. It was kind of just a chaotic mess for Nate Davis in Chicago. We'll see how he does in year two, but maybe the Bears are already looking to move off of Davis, and the Dolphins, who have a clear need at right guard, probably their only true need on this entire roster. Could they swing a 5th-round pick to the Bears for Nate Davis if they're already done with him? He was very good in Tennessee before signing with Chicago. I'd be open to taking the upside play here. The only thing is he is a little bit of an expensive contract, $10+ million a season. I don't know if Miami can fit that in their budget. Yes, I agree. We have a very crowded wide receiver room. Do you think there's a chance that even 7 wide receivers make the final roster? Who do you think makes the final cut? So twofold here from I agree. I don't think they keep 7. They just have so many other players that need to be kept. Like, because of that situation at right guard, you need to probably keep more there just in case of injuries or whoever gets the nod week 1 isn't that good. You also have some older veteran-type players at corner, at offensive tackle, at safety, to where you might want to have more depth at those positions than wide receiver. So I truly believe they're going to ride with 6 guys. And if I had to give my prediction right now, in mid-June, I'm going Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Odell Beckham Jr., Malik Washington, Braxton Berrios is the number 5 due to special teams additions as well. And if I were to go number 6, I have not really given it that much thought at this point, but I'm going to go Eric Ezukama. I feel like he was on pace to have a good camp last year. He'll do it again. River Craycraft gets cut. Taj Washington to the practice squad. Chase, would you consider bringing Ryan Tannehill back to the Dolphins? My goodness. Well, it's an intriguing hypothetical as Ryan Tannehill is still out there in free agency. Obviously, out of Tennessee, the former Miami Dolphin was very good for the Titans initially with Mike Vrabel, but couldn't stay on the field over the past 2 years and just wasn't as effective. And now the Titans are fully moving forward with Will Levis. It's a question of how you feel. Like, Skylar Thompson and Mike White are fine backup quarterbacks to me. Like, the only possible scenario that Ryan Tannehill comes back to the Dolphins is if Tua were to get hurt in the training camp or early on in the season and Tannehill was still out there. Because if Tua does go down and it's like a significant injury, which pray to God it doesn't happen, this roster's too talented to just run with Skylar Thompson or Mike White. So then, yes, I would sign a veteran like Ryan Tannehill to try to lead the ship. But to be the backup quarterback, I'm actually fine rolling with either Mike White or Skylar Thompson, whoever wins the job. Do you disagree with me, though? Be honest. Would you want to re-sign Ryan Tannehill to this Dolphins roster? Type Y for yes or type N for no. He did play college wide receiver. Could he be a wide receiver? Just kidding. Frank O'Connor with a 20. Do you think Chop is going to explode onto the field once he gets his hands better? So that was one of the biggest questions with first-round pick Chop Robinson coming out of college. One was production wasn't there. Only had about 4 sacks for the Nittany Lions, 7.5 TFLs, 15 total tackles. But his first step, his bend, his athleticism is off the charts. And he always struggled when you watch the film of his hand placement when he gets to that offensive lineman just isn't great, which could allow him to be stonewalled at times while rushing the passer if he wasn't able to just use his athleticism and quickness to get around him. I do think he is improving already. He has already told the media that he 100% has improved his hand placement in the 2 months since the NFL draft. So he's only going to get better. He's only going to continue to learn under Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb, and Shaq Barrett. And I do think he will have an impact this year for the Dolphins in year 1 out of Penn State. Yes, I agree. Do you think we could potentially re-sign Connor Williams to play at right guard, considering he might be cheap coming off injury too? This is a great question. Yes, I agree. And the reason why you're asking it is probably because of this report from Adam Schefter on Tuesday afternoon while we were live on Dolphins Today, saying that former Cowboys and Dolphins free agent center, who is coming off a season-ending knee injury, expects to be ready for the start of the season and is in discussion with multiple teams about where to play in 2024. He plans to pick his new team before training camp begins. And this is a bit of a stunner when it happened live because, I mean, the reports from his agent, Drew Rosenhaus, and him personally, was that this knee injury was so significant that he suffered against the Tennessee Titans on Monday Night Football that it would probably take a longer time for him to get back and healthy. So after hearing that information, I have been projecting that he was only going to return to the football field like week 7, week 8. Like, I thought it was going to take that long. But if he's ready for the start of training camp, well, he might not be ready for the start of training camp, But if he were to be ready for the start of regular season, which would probably mean fully healthy, ready to go week 3, week 4, I would absolutely bring him in. I don't know how big his market is. I don't know how much he'd get paid. He has been terrific over the past year and a half as a center for the Dolphins. But you re-sign him for a cheap contract to play right guard, you fill that hole for Miami, and you have the best roster in the National Football League. You can take that to the bank. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel, by the way, because you will get Miami Dolphins news the quickest. And say Connor Williams does sign with the Miami Dolphins and comes back home, we'll be the first to let you know about that. So turn on the notifications as well so you can get up-to-date news on the Dolphins. Chad Jones! With the signing of T.R. Tart that is, shouldn't this open up our linebacking core for a great season? So T.R. Tart, it'll be intriguing to see how he does with the Dolphins. Now, I initially had him projected as the second interior defensive lineman and as the Christian Wilkins replacement to pair up with Zach Sealer. Well, after you signed Calais Campbell a week ago, I don't think that's no longer the case. Like, Campbell can play outside as a edge rusher. He can also play inside. I think he'll play most likely over the right guard in 4-3 alignments. And that's kind of how I envision him playing for this team, or 3-4 alignments as well. So when Campbell's on the field, yes, I actually don't expect T.R. Tart to have that big of an impact anymore. Just more or less a depth piece at nose tackle or defensive tackle for the Dolphins. But yes, to answer the second part of it, Jordan Brooks and David Long Jr. should have a lot of free roam to crash the gaps of the offensive line that are left open with Sealer and Calais Campbell or Tart taking up a lot of blockers inside. O'Connor again! Do you think we could see a 3 RB lineup of a triple option with all the speed the Dolphins have? It'd be hard to cover all 3. Now, I do think there will be certain formations and fun formations where the Dolphins put out 3 running backs, whether it be Achane, Wright, and Mostert in any type of lineup where one goes to the slot, 2 in the backfield, all 3 in the backfield. Whatever type of creativity you want to throw out there, I would trust Mike McDaniel to find a different way to at least do it one time. With how all 3 dynamic are, like, you would want to try to see what they can do on the field at the same time together. Triple option, probably unlikely. Still going to want Tua in the ball game. Not going to rule it out, though, but you get Tua with those 3 running backs, 2 in the backfield, 1 in the slot, all 3 in the backfield. I think it is possible. Make sure you do get your Miami Dolphins t-shirt combo. Chatsports.com/Dolphins combo is the link. $25 off. Yes, you heard that correctly. Normally $60. On sale for $35 right now. Get yours today. Links in the description and comments of today's video. Every Noodle. Who do you think has the most underrated tape out of the rookies that Miami drafted? That's a good question. Underrated tape. How do I want to answer this? I don't actually am not going to say Malik Washington because his tape was terrific. Chop Robinson. Honestly, you know what? I'm going to go Chop Robinson. And you might think that's crazy to answer it that way because he was the first-round pick for Miami and 21st overall. But a lot of people knocked him, me, myself included, about the lack of production at Penn State. But when you watch the film of Chop Robinson, you could just tell how disruptive he was, and you can tell how much attention he grabbed from opposing offensive lines at Penn State. So I actually think if you were to watch all the film of every Dolphins rookie, Chop Robinson might be the one that stands out to you the most and be like, damn, I really understand why he was the 21st overall pick, and I maybe should not have clowned that pick as much as I did. Jamison Avery with a question. Am I the only one excited about the Dolphins defense this year? I think they will surprise some people. No, Jamison, I'm with you. I have actually been on record saying that I think the Dolphins have a top 10 defense this year, and I expect it to be that way. I got to be honest. Like, you think about this edge group, Chop Robinson, Jack Barrett, Bradley Chubb, Jalen Phillips. That's a really good top 4. I'm bullish on Jerome Baker, Jordan Brooks, and David Long Jr. on the interior linebacker crew. Javon Holland, Jordan Poyer, a really good duo. You got Marcus May as depth. The one thing that I'm concerned about is the cornerback depth. Jalen Ramsey and Kendall Fuller are elite on the boundary together, but Nick Needham, Cam Smith as their backups, there's question marks there. Also have Kader Kohu in the nickel. But I really think this is a good defense. I'm also really high on Anthony Weaver as a first-time DC coming from Baltimore. I think it's a really good team on paper, and I'd expect this defense to be top 10 in the NFL. What year did you become a Dolphins fan? Excellent question here by myself and Jack Lotteray. What year did you become a Dolphins fan? Shout it out for me down in the comment section. Yes, I agree. Hashtag Dolphins. Any surprise cuts do you think could happen? Some potential ones I think are Jeff Wilson, Eric Azukama. Well, I do actually agree with you, Jeff Wilson and Eric Azukama. I've often kind of speculated that it could be possible the Dolphins cut one of the two quarterbacks, whether it be Mike White or Skylar Thompson. If I had to predict which one, I actually would lean Mike White. It saves you about $3 million in cap space. So if you wanted to sign a Connor Williams or just add more cap space going into the season, Mike White could be a casualty because I'm comfortable having Skylar Thompson as the backup QB with Gavin Hardison, the UDFA out of UTEP, who I'm kind of sneaky high on being your practice squad guy. But Mike White, if he doesn't get claimed by a different team, you could bring him back on your P squad as well. I think he is someone that could be a surprise cut candidate. If you want another crazy one, with the sign Calais Campbell, Neville Gallimore might not make this roster, but probably good to keep 4 defensive linemen. But if Gallimore doesn't have a good training camp, he could be out. Every Noodle. Speaking of reunions, could we bring back Jarvis Landry? I appreciate Jarvis Landry for everything he did for the Miami Dolphins in the 2010s, and he was absolutely terrific. One of my favorite wide receivers I've ever watched play on the Miami Dolphins. Also fantasy football legend if you played PPR. But no, he is over the hill. He is cooked, and we've talked about how insane the Dolphins' depth is at wide receiver right now. Don't think it would make sense to add another guy to this room. So sorry, Jarvis Landry. As much as it would be nice to have you on this team when this Dolphins group tries to go for a Super Bowl, this doesn't make any sense. All right, that will do it for today's show. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. If you missed this mailbag live, well, it might be because you're not subscribed. So hit that sub button and join us for our live shows on a weekly basis every Tuesday. I'm Nic Rohloff. See you on a video tomorrow. Go Fins. All right. Just Brian became a fan in 1983. That's a legend right there. Yes, I agree, says 2021. That's when I got into football. Doesn't matter when you became a Dolphins fan. Just glad you're here. Duncan, still coming off that high of an NBA championship yesterday, says, I'm a Cowboys fan. Craig says, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, and Deshaun Watson all through their first read. Okay, I see what you're saying. All through to their first read at a higher rate than Tua. Yeah, I mean, listen. Tua is elite at the quick game. But Tua is also one of the best parts about him is his cerebral ability. He understands opposing defenses. He understands the Dolphins' offense. So he knows when he should take his first read, when he should maybe hold on to it a little bit longer. He also is able to pick up pressure from opposing defenses at a good rate. So he could dump it off or try to go through his progressions. Like, I think Tua gets too much hate, man. And I understand doesn't have the physical attributes. Like, he has some underthrows. Does he have the highest ceiling? But, like, he's a good quarterback, man. Good quarterback. And he's going to prove it again with a big 2024. Bill Lyon, 1978. Duncan says, what was on the card Smitty gave you, though? Duncan, you don't want to know. Actually, you probably do want to know. You probably do want to know. Oh. One second here, sorry. Yeah. Matt Farms became a fan 1990-ish. Every Noodle says 2012. Reggie Bush got me into football. That's dope. Duncan, Smitty just gave me a lot of profanity. A lot of profanity. 1 minute here. We're going to get into our next segment in a second, but we do have a little flash to show. Lord Buddy Bear's in the building, saying Raider fans since 91. Lord Buddy Bear's a real one. Oh, no chance. We'll work on that in the That's fine. There's no chance that's because when they made all those, it's obviously not hosting at the time. Duncan, that's a very Smitty thing to do. So what he did is he put down on each of his notes some quotes from people that doubted the Celtics throughout the year, and threw it back. And now I stand by one of my quotes that I don't think he even proved it, but one of them was Jimmy Butler greater than Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, laughing emoji. Which Duncan, I don't know how you feel. Jimmy Butler is still better than those two. Don't care. When here's the thing, like you guys had a stacked roster. You did. You swap any of those two players with Jimmy Butler, nothing changes. Like, come on. All right. How about this? A $20 Venmo from Kristen Reinhardt. Shout out to Kristen Reinhardt. Appreciate the love and support from you. By the way, your comment, Kristen, almost makes me upset. Like, I appreciate the donation, but you saying, sorry, it's not much, but fins up. Don't apologize. Like, it is not required to donate to the channel. It is greatly appreciated, and we celebrate every single super chat or donation because it helps us grow, yes, and it shows that you guys like what we're doing, but don't ever apologize for helping donate to the channel. Don't do that. Don't do that. Kristen, appreciate anything. Appreciate anything and everything you do, and I appreciate that I've been able to keep you around at the channel because I know a lot of people come and go, and I'm glad some of the real ones decide to stay. Shout out to you, Kristen. Shout out, nice little Tuesday. All right, last segment coming up. This live show has been our longest one yet, Jack. Well, that's what happens when we got Shaggy and Kristen Reinhardt and Chad Jones going big time. A little Tuesday afternoon party here at Dolphins Today. Appreciate everyone for tuning in. One more segment to go. Show goes on. Today's rundown at Dolphins Today. Malik Washington, the 6th-round rookie out of Virginia. Is he going to flash and erupt onto the scene for the Dolphins in 2024? And then also, ESPN ranked the entire offseason in the National Football League, gave out letter grades, best move, worst move, biggest thing that happened for each team. Wanted to go over the Dolphins one because they actually showcased some praise for Chris Greer and Miami. But make sure you are following us over on social media, whether it be my personal Twitter, where I have 1,053 followers, Nic_Rohloff is the handle, or our Instagram at Dolphins Today IG. I post daily content surrounding the Fins on YouTube, but I also do it even more on Twitter and Instagram. So go give us a follow. I promise you, you will not regret it. All right, let's get into Malik Washington now, who the Dolphins selected in the 6th round of the NFL draft out of Virginia. And it is absolutely Malik Washington hype season. Bleacher Report named about 7 or 8 rookie wide receivers that they could see erupting and being a big-time playmaker for their respective team in 2024. And Malik Washington did make the list. Brent Sobleski from Bleacher Report had this little excerpt on why he believes Malik Washington will break out. He said Washington provides a tank to work the middle of the field. The 5'9", 191-pounder plays more like a running back than a wide receiver after making the catch. He led major college football last season with 110 receptions and 35 forced missed tackles for Virginia. And we have shown this time and time again on the channel. I love Malik Washington. I think he's going to be an absolute playmaker for the Miami Dolphins. He's just absolutely terrific, and he is going to carve out a role over the middle of this field for this Dolphins offense. I mean, how can you have this good of a season on a team that does not have a good quarterback or a good passing game, but not be drafted higher in the 6th round? Like, I was talking with our NFL draft expert, Tom Downey. You guys know him quite well, as he was a spot host for a little bit. But he had Malik Washington as a top 100 guy in the draft. He thought he was going to be gone by day 2. And he was still there in the 6th round for Miami. He is so quick, so twitchy, and he is going to just absolutely dominate over the middle of the field. He can do everything Mike McDaniel wants over the middle of the field. He's not afraid to take a lick when running a slant or a drag route. He can run those stick routes to perfection. And in the Mike McDaniel quick passing game offense that we've seen, he just will be able to add another layer and another dimension to this offense in this passing game. When you have Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle stressing a defense deep, and yes, we're not even mentioning Odell Beckham Jr., but Washington working on linebackers, nickels, safeties between 10 yards of the line of scrimmage, he's just going to put people on skates, and he is going to find a role, and he is going to be effective for the Miami Dolphins in 2024. I'm very excited to see what the 6th-round wide receiver can do. I think he's going to erupt for Miami. And this brings me to this question, and you might think this is a little bit low on the what we can ask here, but will Malik Washington have over or under 400 receiving yards in 2024? I know you might say that's low, but he is still, at least right now, 4th on the depth chart behind 3 pretty big names. So let me know. Type O for over, type U for under. I will say, as we continue the conversation, it helps that Mike McDaniel absolutely loves Malik Washington. And if he loves him, that means he's probably going to be featured pretty heavily in the offense. When Malik Washington was drafted, and I want to go flashback to this, in late April, Chris Grier, the GM for the Dolphins, told Malik Washington this. He's, referring to Mike McDaniel, been bugging me to draft you here in the last couple of rounds. So Mike McDaniel obviously wanted Miami to pick him in the 4th, 5th round on day 3. Well, Mike McDaniel didn't dispute that quote. He said also to Malik Washington, that's an understatement. I've been seriously annoying towards him. Your rookie year can be very productive if you're a pro, which I know you can be immediately because you're going to have the opportunity. We'll see what role Malik Washington can carve in this Dolphins offense at 24, having to work behind Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle, and Odell Beckham Jr. But to me, there is no doubt about this. Malik Washington possesses the route running, the hands, and the talent to be a top-tier slot receiver in the NFL. Is he ever going to be someone that can work on the boundary consistently? Probably not, just due to his 5'9" frame. But he can be one of the best slot receivers in the National Football League. There are roles out there for that. The Dolphins have that need, and I think he's going to fill it perfectly in Mike McDaniel's offense for 2024. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel, because if you want more in-depth Dolphins coverage, this is the place for you. And as we talk more about the Dolphins in training camp in just about a month, Malik Washington will be a topic of conversation, of course, so hit that sub button to be informed on everything surrounding the Fins. All right, let's talk about the ESPN grade now for the Dolphins offseason in 2024, because they actually graded it quite high. A- is the grade that Miami received from ESPN. Seth Walder had the article, and if you're actually wondering, well, where did that rank amongst the rest of the league? Well, it was actually tied for 3rd, or tied for 2nd, technically. They gave the Eagles an A offseason, and then they gave 4 teams A-. Dolphins, Patriots, Chiefs, and Ravens were all given A-, I believe. And they had superlatives for each Dolphins offseason. They said the biggest move that was made was losing Christian Wilkins and Robert Hunt. I actually can't deny that point. Like, losing a top-tier defensive tackle who got paid $100+ million is massive. And then Robert Hunt, your starting right guard, getting a 5-year, $100 million deal is also pretty massive. They labeled the best move for the Dolphins signing cornerback Kendall Fuller to be the Xavier Howard replacement. And then they gave the worst signing Jordan Brooks, which we'll talk about both these moves here in a second. But here is what Seth Walder exactly had to say about the Dolphins offseason. Seth said, the deal I really like is for Kendall Fuller, a reliable veteran corner who is costing the Dolphins only $15 million for 2 seasons, with just $8 million fully guaranteed. He allowed 1.3 yards per coverage snap, average for a corner, or better in each of the past 5 seasons per NFL Next Gen stats. I'm less excited about Jordan Brooks, considering his 35% run-stop win rate was unspectacular and he struggled in coverage prior to 2023. Now, after this quote, I want to focus the conversation on Jordan Brooks, the linebacker who the Dolphins signed to replace Jerome Baker, who left in free agency. Because, sure, maybe those stats he showed and displayed aren't the most beneficial to Jordan Brooks' case, but I think he's better than advertised. I really do. And he's gotten somewhat better over his entire career with the Seahawks. He was a former first-round pick and a Texas Tech Red Raider. He didn't have the best rookie year, but then he had 184 tackles in 21. Followed it up with 161 tackles, 111 tackles, improving his pass rushing ability every year, by the way, as well, with a 4.5 sacks in 2023. Like, sure, the run stopping rate wasn't great, but I do believe he can be a thumper in the run defense game. Like, he is very athletic. He gets downhill. He hits hard. And him and David Long Jr. working together, I think, is perfect because you have that hard-nosed run-stopping type linebacker in Jordan Brooks, paired up with an athletic do-it-all linebacker in David Long Jr., and you have a tandem that complements itself really well. And I would expect the run-stopping rate for the linebackers to only bump up this year because, yes, you lost Christian Wilkins, got Calais Campbell, Zach Sealer. Like, the defensive line is still pretty solid. Like, it's not like it got significantly worse. So Brooks is going to have an opportunity to be really solid in the run-stopping department. I do agree with the concern, though, of him in coverage. His career PFF coverage grade through 4 NFL seasons is 43.4. That is not good. Let's call a spade a spade. That's not great. But I do think Jordan Brooks won't be asked to cover as much as he was in Seattle due to having David Long Jr. there as well. There is also a possibility where they run a lot of different formations in this Anthony Weaver defense where only one linebacker's on the field. So like in obvious passing situations where it's 3rd and 10, 3rd and 11, maybe Jordan Brooks is on the field and they go to a 3-safety package where Javon Holland almost rotates in as like a linebacker or Marcus May. Like the outcomes are endless. Possibilities are endless with this Dolphins defense because they're so versatile. Anthony Weaver, who comes from a Ravens scheme that likes to do a lot of different things. Like, I don't think Brooks is going to be asked to be a coverage linebacker as much as he was with Seattle. They're going to work to get him in the best possible situation. And I think Brooks is going to be really good for Miami in 2024. Do you believe in Jordan Brooks like I believe in Jordan Brooks? Type Y for yes or type N for no. I believe he's going to be very solid for the Dolphins. You let me know your thoughts down below. Make sure you do follow me on Twitter before we head out of here. At Nic_Rohloff is my handle on Twitter. Also, make sure you follow us on Instagram, too. Dolphins Today IG is that handle. As we said off the top of the show, we're talking more fins in between each video we put here on Dolphins Today over on social media. So if you want more coverage, those are the 2 places to find it. I'll see you with a video tomorrow. Go Fins. All right. That's going to be it for today. Mid says O, Bill says O, every noodle says O, so they all think they're going to see good seasons from Malik Washington. It's Benji makes a great point here, which I failed to make, which bad look on me. That's why the Dolphins added Anthony Walker Jr., who is one of the best coverage linebackers in football over the past 2 seasons. He's been so good with the Browns in pass coverage, they brought him in. Like, it's going to be a good linebacker room, man. It is. David Long Jr. can be on the field the majority of the time. He can cover, he can stop the run, and then Jordan Brooks in run-stopping situations, Anthony Walker in pass situations. Like I mentioned, the versatility that this Miami Dolphins defense has is absolutely phenomenal. And going back to the mailbag question we had, it's like we're not talking about the defense as much as we should. I agree. I think this is a top 10 group. I think it's a top 10 group in the NFL, and as long as they stay healthy and Anthony Weaver isn't completely inept at calling plays, which I just have a hard time believing is going to happen, it's going to be a good defense, man. I think the Dolphins are going to have a top 5 offense without a doubt and a top 10 defense. So what does that mean? I expect the Dolphins to make a deep run in the playoffs this season. Maybe it's biased, maybe it's not. I'm really high on this team, and hopefully they stay healthy. We can go win a goddamn Super Bowl, fellas. Win a goddamn Super Bowl. All right, we'll give it a minute. If anyone wants to donate to the channel or super chat, we'll flash it on screen. If not, we'll head out of here on a Tuesday afternoon. Jason Smith says, late getting here. How is Skylar Thompson doing? Solid. He's doing well enough to where I actually would be comfortable cutting Mike White. I said that during the mailbag, and keeping Skylar Thompson as our pure backup quarterback. We'll see how that battle progresses in training camp in just a month or so. But doing fine enough. Fine enough. Appreciate it, Nick. Appreciate it. It's Benji. Well, I appreciate you coming in and hanging out. Appreciate you coming hanging out. You know what? I'm not also up here to think I'm perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I'm gonna misspeak, probably a lot more than I should, but that's how it is. Also gonna just have mental lapses sometimes where I forget to make a point or forget a name or something like that. Just bound to happen. It's bound to happen. But that's why I need you guys to keep me on my toes. And it's Benji. I'm glad you're keeping me on my toes. Glad you're keeping me on my toes. All right, that's going to do it for today's live show. Appreciate Jack Ladere for hopping and producing. Appreciate Shaggy, a.k.a. O'Connor, for coming on and hanging out with us. He was awesome. And hopefully you come back because we'd love to have you back. Appreciate Christian Reinhardt. Appreciate Chad Jones. Anyone who donated the channel. Oh! Jason Smith is going to get one last word before we get out of here. A legend on Dolphins Today, $20. I kind of answered the question, so if you're on delay, I apologize. But $20 does get you a shot at tequila. I'm definitely not driving to Dallas or Arlington, Texas anymore. It's going to definitely have to be Coop. But I'll answer it one more time. If you're watching on delay, Skylar Thompson's been doing good enough. I think Skylar Thompson had a better OTAs than Mike White. But reports out of the 2 days of minicamp was that Mike White was just slightly better than Skylar Thompson. So I think it's got its ebb and flows. Like, if you had to ask me who the backup quarterback for the Dolphins is right now, I'd lean Mike White. But you could also cut Mike White and save $3 million. And I think it might be worth doing that and riding with Skylar Thompson as your backup quarterback and then having Gavin Hardison be your UDFA if he's good enough in training camp and preseason as your practice squad / third quarterback. I actually am kind of high on Hardison. He's got a cannon. He just needs to be more accurate. Had like a 55% completion percentage at UTEP. Not great, but he has an arm. And he's not afraid to go out and make plays. So he's someone I got my eyes out for when rookies report to Dolphins training camp in a month. That's for sure. All right, now appreciate to Jason Smith for sending in that $20 super chat. Appreciate to everyone else who donated to the channel and watched throughout today's show. I'll see you next Tuesday for another live show. I was almost going to say maybe not, but NBA Draft, which I lead coverage of, is Wednesday, so we'll be good on Tuesday. See you next Tuesday on Dolphins Today by Chat Sports. Appreciate everyone for the nice comments. Jose, that's a great comment to close it out. I love this channel. Keeps me updated on our fins. Keep doing these. Will do, Jose. See you next Tuesday. See you with videos for the rest of the week. Peace out.